right down to the south.
Right.
We have bandits all over now in the forest in the south, where you have forest. And people have been kidnapped. What is the trade by this bandits?
So you feel the insincerity in the conversation that he had initially, talking about Nasir El-Rufai, that he had is what happened that did not yield the desired results. And so perhaps this time around, the conversation we are seeing with Sheikh Gumi and every other person, which a lot of Nigerians have also criticized, might yield the results, because we're still seeing these killings going on.
Might yield the results. Then I want you to take a cue from what is happening in Zamfara State at the moment. If a group led by Daudawa, I just gave you that now, on Monday they submitted the small arms in their possession. What happened when we had people protesting in other regions, like we had in the Niger Delta? What brought it to an end? Where the economy of this country was almost brought to an abrupt end. What happened? Yar'Adua called them to discuss with their leaders. Having discussed with their leaders at the end of the day, what happened? He gave them amnesty. Today, what happened? Did they not submit the firearms in their possession? How many pipelines have been blown up again now in the Niger Delta? Those are the people that are supposed to be more aggrieved than anybody in this country. Because they don't have farmland. The water from which they earn their daily resources is destroyed. It's destroyed. It's polluted. All the international oil companies that harvest what God gave to that part of this country, how much do they give put in their back in return? Instead, the people cannot farm, the people cannot fish. They live in abject poverty now. But even so, a certain president came and said, no, this is not the way to go. We understand your protest, your freedom fighters. But what do? They sat down and negotiated. They agreed. He negotiated with the leaders of that region.
Freedom fighters.
Yes.
But we don't understand what these ones are fighting for.
These ones are criminals. So if you have criminals that you cannot overwhelm, what do? Even if you could overwhelm them, look for their leaders and talk with them. You and I were here when we discussed the issue of the Kankara boys.
Right.
Who were those who negotiated the release of those Kankara boys? The governor of Zamfara State used ex-bandits, we were told, to negotiate with those who kidnapped the boys. Did you not get all of them in full? Did they not go back to their parents? Did they not return joy to the homes of where they came out from? Do you know what it means to send your child to school? In boarding house, federal government school. At the end of the day, the boy you are told is taken away by criminals. Haven't been taken away by criminals at the end of the day. You got your son back. You know how much joy that will bring to you.
But for some experts, this they believe is emboldening these criminals, like you call them.
There's always two ways to a coin.
Right.
Two sides of a coin. What is most important now is for us to try and see what we can do to minimize or reduce the killings. They are too much. It's too many. It's too many now. Do you know now that the bandits we're talking about, even the headers suffer in the hands of the bandits? Do you know that even the farmers suffer in the hands of the bandits? How? You want to know? You might want to know. Now, the bandits, they are cattle rustlers. Who suffers it? The headers. And you have to kill the headers to take their cattle away. The farmers now cannot go to farm. From understanding, farmers in certain states along that line, the northwest now, they pay taxes to bandits so that they could go to farm freely, plant their crops, and then go there again to harvest. You remember how many farmers were killed by Boko Haram?
Over 70.
And who was happy about it?
No.
Was it the world? Now you have farmers who are reaching out to this person, who are paying what looks like taxes or levy, if you want to call it that, take it that way, so that they could go in peace to farm. What do we have today? Kidnapping is rampant. Cattle rustling is rampant. Farmers are being killed. So the food basket of this nation is threatened. And if food security is threatened, it means that the common man is also threatened. We're talking about poverty. We don't import gari. We do not import beans. Have you ever, even the local rice we are planting here, we don't import them. But they compete with the ones we import. When you pay import duties for and all of that. Why? Because you don't have enough farmers who want to take the risk to go to farm because there's no security for them. The Zamfara State governor has taken the bull by the horns and is having related peace. The Sokoto governor the other day also did the same thing. You of the Kankara boys that were taken away by these same persons returned because they were negotiated with. I do not care what the negotiation do, but what is important to me is the life that you and I cannot create.
But can we continue like this? For how long can we continue like this?
Is it better for us to remain silent and allow everybody to be killed until the thing gets to our homes?
Carrot and stick approach. Some persons want us to, since we know where these people are and who they are, perhaps we should begin to see some arrests being made.
My dear sister.
Right.
I didn't want to get worked up this morning.
I did intend to do so.
We must continue to tell ourselves the truth. One problem we have in this country is the fact that we refuse to tell ourselves the truth. We see the truth and shy away and begin to quote what is not necessary at that point in time. There's a parable in my language.
Interpret, please.
I do not, unfortunately, my language, if you tend to interpret or describe what you say in it, it may give you a different meaning.
Right. But there is a crux of a message.
Yes, the crux of the message I'll give to you free of charge is that
all right.
There's this bush cat that comes to the house to take chicks, eat them. So when you have the hen, the mother of the chicks now, that cat at loggerheads, you drive the cat away first, and then discuss with the hen, and then later you call the cat, say, "Come boy, take it easy now. You are eating this woman's children, and you expect her to keep quiet." What are we talking about? Is this the time we begin to quote logics? Is that what we need now across the country? Some persons are taking it upon themselves now. Buhari has taken it upon himself to protect his people. Today now we heard that his account has been frozen.
Right.
Because he demanded that some persons should raise money for him to buy buses to be able to move his people around to support security. My dear, is it not getting out of hand? Where individuals are taking it upon themselves to want to protect themselves or protect their people. Is it not getting out of hands? When on daily basis, what you heard again this morning from Kaduna State, about 23 persons have been killed. How do you feel every day when you wake up, you come to the studio, you are discussing terrorism? There's no day where you don't see a gruesome video how people have been killed by terrorists and bandits.
Constitutionally, the primary purpose of governance is the protection of lives and property. Now the president has given marching orders to security chiefs to quash and insecurity, insurgency, and all of that in the country. How do we perhaps build on what you are saying the governors are doing, some of the Northwest governors are doing, to ensure we see an end, if possible, to all of this crisis?
Wonderful thing Mr. President has done. Wonderful thing, wonderful statement he has made. How many times has he made these statements? Mr. President himself is coming from the security circle. Don't forget, he's a soldier, he's a general who fought war, civil war in this country.
Absolutely, yeah.
Don't also forget that the first day he came, his body language said a lot of things, and he moved the headquarters,
yes,
or situation room to Borno, northeast.
Yeah.
How much result have we gotten from that? Vis-a-vis what happened in the era of Yaradua and the Niger Deltans. The civil war that was fought, how did it end? On the round table, negotiating table. Yes, the security people must sit up. Is it the same security men that have been overstretched? The same Nigerian army that is overstretched? We discussed it here about 2 days ago. Are you going to bring security men from outside the country to come and complement the efforts of us what we have here? For goodness sake, as much as that is done, that is exactly what Mr. President is directing is part of what the police did in Zamfara that you reported. They recovered even a rocket launcher, in addition to other weapons. What you must compliment all of that? You must compliment the efforts of the security.